Okay, welcome to Chapter 3. Here we're going to discuss 3 of the most popular website builder platforms that you may or may not have heard of. We're going to compare Squarespace versus Wix versus WordPress. And our objectives here are to compare the core features of each of these platforms, identify which one matches your website needs and skill level. I am not a Squarespace employee, I am a Squarespace specialist, but I've also worked on Wix and more recently a lot more on WordPress, although I do drift in and out of using WordPress. And we'll get you started with your chosen platform so that you can make the next steps with confidence. Because this is a really important point. Building your first website means choosing the right platform from the start, ideally. And the 3 examples I've shown in this chapter dominate the market. So let's first discuss the very basics with each platform. I've already covered Squarespace, but just to recap, it focuses on design and simplicity. You get professionally designed templates, both first and third party, and an interface that makes sense from day one, at least to most of us who have been working with website builders or software regularly. If you are completely new to this industry and don't spend a huge chunk of your daily routine working with computers, then you might find a steeper learning curve. But to be honest, that'll be the same whether it's web design or creating a brochure on Canva or creating your very first social media video. The learning curve will adjust depending on the knowledge and experience you have outside of building websites, but within the technology and software field. Squarespace is often popular with professional designers because of that sleek interface, both in the admin and also to be able to build layouts that work for you. And it's relatively easy compared to other platforms to get those pages looking professional and polished. So now let's move on to Wix. Wix offers maximum flexibility with a drag and drop builder, much in the same way as Squarespace. But Wix really pioneered the idea of making web design really accessible, but also offering loads of additional features. Whereas with Squarespace, you work into a grid system. It started off as a 12-column grid. Now it's a 24-column grid where things snap into place with a little bit of adjustment. But if you wanted to micromanage the adjustment, you need to use third-party code, whilst Wix is literally click and drag an element and you can leave it exactly on the page wherever you want. This is a double-edged sword because I find that a grid system is easier to learn to start with because it forces you to keep consistent spacing between elements. But if you find that lack of creativity of working to a grid system restrictive, then Wix may be an option for you. There are 2 Wix products. You've got Wix and Wix Studio. Wix Studio is designed specifically for professional designers, whilst Wix is for the DIY market where you're building your first 1 to 10 websites. Wix gives you more control with more features, more settings, but the learning curve to understand where all those settings are and how to update them is probably a little steeper than Squarespace, and also that means that the results can vary more than, say, for example, working with a Squarespace template. And finally, WordPress. This provides unlimited customization through the endless themes and plugins. It scales from simple blogs to complex business websites. However, I do believe, and I'm not alone on this one, that it requires a lot more technical knowledge and ongoing maintenance. Plugins alone, if you want to make sure your website remains secure and up to date, you're probably going to need to log in once a week to update any plugins, just to make sure your security levels are top notch. To get started, Squarespace and Wix, I believe, have trials. So with Squarespace, you get a 14-day free trial. But as you start working with it, get the option to go up through different levels of Squarespace Circle membership. And you will find that the Platinum membership will allow you perks like a 20% ongoing discount for every website that you put live for yourself or your client. And in addition, you will get a whole year for your free trial. So if you've got a client that you need to give a bit more of a nudge to get the website over the line and live. You're not having to create a new trial every few weeks, which becomes invaluable. So just to wrap up, I would say choose Squarespace if you want professional designs with minimal fuss. They look the most polished off the bat. Wix will allow you more control over the design element and the positioning of these elements. You've got exact control. Good for those graphic designers who want to be unshackled as they design through a website. Or choose WordPress if you need advanced functionality, if you've got a third-party plugin in mind, or if you've come from a web development or software engineering background and want to make the most of your skill set. And to wrap it up, the way I would explain it is this. Squarespace is equivalent to an Apple product, for example, an iPhone. It's polished, looks beautiful, and everything is built from end-to-end control. At the other end of the spectrum, you've got WordPress, which is your Windows PC. It allows you to customize so many different aspects. You can turn it into anything you want within reason. You're constantly building on it, evolving it, adding new tools into the toolkit, and very little is off limits. And then Wix will sit somewhere in between the two. It has heightened flexibility, but still within a constrained system. And one key difference with WordPress is that it is actually free. So you can choose your own hosting platform, whereas with Wix, and definitely so with Squarespace, you buy a subscription and you can only have your website live on that platform with your custom domain whilst you are subscribing to that platform. And the prices will scale depending on the number of features you need. So if you already have hosting set out, then, and you don't mind, and you're not overly fussy with how the website looks, or you've got the time or budget to get it looking top notch, then WordPress could be the option for you. And if you're sticking with Squarespace, I'll see you in the next chapter.